Hello, students and fellow teachers. My name's Ryan. Welcome to Learning Advanced Level English with ChatGPT, ENGL 4010 with teacher Ryan Newman. Let's begin. So this is lesson number 1, where we're going to introduce ourselves to each other and we're going to get an introduction to ChatGPT. Hello, everyone. My name's Ryan. I'm originally from Brampton, Ontario, Canada, which is a suburb just outside of Toronto, Canada. I'm an English language and communications teacher of 6 years. I'm a teacher trainer, curriculum designer, and pedagogical innovator. I'm a college professor and university instructor of 3 years, right here in the Greater Toronto area. I'm passionate about all things education, and if you have any questions throughout this course, you could always contact me via Udemy, via this course platform, or via onlineenglishteacherryan@gmail.com. Welcome to ENGL 4010. So what is this course? First of all, this course empowers learners to engage in partially guided, self-directed language learning, aided by generative AI application ChatGPT. So by partially guided, the goal is by the end of this course, you could kind of like take the training wheels off and you could be on your own, ready and able to create your own self-guided, self-directed, tailored language learning plan. Okay, I'm here to allow you to get a little bit more comfortable with ChatGPT, a little bit more comfortable with learning on your own. So as we go, you're going to get more and more agency, more and more power, more and more confidence. This is supposed to bridge the gap between AI and language learning. There has been a lot of work done with trying to enhance the automation of language learning, and these AI tools have come a long way. However, the next decade or two will be revolutionary in the way that we see these changes continue to occur and develop. So I'm very excited to be part of that. I want to bridge this gap. I also want to bridge the gap between artificial intelligence and human intelligence and look at ways that those two things could complement each other rather than countering each other. This is one resource to help you move from C1 level to C2 level in a tailored and self-directed manner. In other words, this course is really supposed to be for C1 level students or maybe at the cusp of C1, so B2, upper B2 level students. This is also completely friendly for C2 level students as well. Finally, this is supposed to be for other teachers, other language teachers, other teachers in general who are interested in how ChatGPT works, who might feel a little bit worried about ChatGPT and the ethical implications, and who would like to learn more about it. In this course, there are going to be 20 modules divided into 5 sections, each with practice activities. The best part about this course is that it is made partially with artificial intelligence and partially with human intelligence, bringing the two together. While we go through this course, you're going to see organically, you're going to see the pros of ChatGPT and the potential cons of ChatGPT, regardless of whether you're a student or a teacher. Why have I created this course? Well, number one, I believe that education should be accessible and informative. I am not necessarily a proponent nor an opponent of ChatGPT, but I recognize that it is here and it is a resource that is accessible to a lot of people. One of the it could be argued good things about ChatGPT is that it is free. You could use it for free if you have access to the internet. So all of you should be able to access ChatGPT via OpenAI. That's what we're going to be using in this course. I have a lot of experience as a college and university professor. I teach courses where we're basically, like the end goal is for the student to be able to write an argumentative essay or a research paper. You could only imagine how often, especially in a course like this, a teacher like me is dealing with problems such as plagiarism and academic integrity issues with ChatGPT. In addition to the ethical issues that you might encounter on a daily basis with ChatGPT, there's a whole plethora of potential issues, but potential possibilities as well for an educator like me who teaches courses such as the courses I teach. So I have kind of taken on the attitude that, ChatGPT is reshaping how we obtain and exchange knowledge. I would rather row with the current instead of rowing against the current. Okay. I would like to learn more about the potential upsides of ChatGPT, the potential downsides, and how us as teachers and us as students, self-teaching students, could be more informative and innovative in our approach to ChatGPT. Welcome everybody to ENGL 4010. Hello everybody. Welcome to lecture number 2. In this module, we're going to talk a little bit more about ENGL 4010 so that you could learn a bit more about what you will be exposed to in this course. Here are the principles that guide your education, and these are the principles that guide all of the courses that I create. Number 1, relevance. I believe that your education and the education of all students everywhere as much as possible should be relevant. You should be able to understand how the activities, the tasks, the topics, the courses are relevant to your professional, academic, and personal lives. Okay? And I believe that it is your teacher's duty to actually give those rationales and to explain as efficiently and effectively as possible how these different tasks and activities could be useful and productive in your professional, academic, and personal lives. I want this to be engaging. This is going to be a very hands-on, task-based course. This is we're going to be going through a lot of these activities together in real time. You're going to get your feet wet, all right? You're going to get your hands dirty. It's going to be fun. So of all the courses I teach, I think this is one of the courses where it's the least receptive and the most productive for you as a learner. Not to mention the fact that you are engaging in self-directed language learning, so you're actually going to play a teaching role as well. Which brings us to the next point, learner-centeredness. One of the reasons why I created this course is because I believe that AI, ChatGPT, and self-directed language learning has so many affordances and potential obstacles which are posed to students like you, advanced level students, or teachers who teach advanced level students. To be learner-centered, we're trying to give you as much power as possible in the process of education, in the process of learning and teaching. In other words, you're going to get opportunities to pick and choose different things that you find are relevant to you. So as you could see, the learner-centeredness aspect is a pillar which is interdependent with other pillars such as relevance, engagement, and finally, that brings us to the final one, practicality. I want your education to be practical. In other words, I'm not going to spend tons of time talking about the whole background and history of ChatGPT and where it was founded and who founded it, blah, blah, blah. I want to give you some bite-sized, nuggets of information that you could take with you and you could explore other alternative avenues if you so please, okay, if you wish. This is supposed to be informative, exploratory, and experiential, and I'm so happy that you're coming along for the ride with me. But with that being said, we're trying to learn these concepts, learn about ChatGPT, learn about ways that we could use ChatGPT and be critical of it in as efficient but in as effective of a way possible. Hello students, and welcome to lesson number 3, Introduction to the Platform. Now we're going to finally dive in, get to know ChatGPT a little bit, or get to know ChatGPT a little bit better. So whether if you're a beginner or if you know a little bit about ChatGPT, this will hopefully be informative for you to at least get some sort of background information on ChatGPT, or at least to learn something from a different perspective on the subject. Let's dive in. First of all, what is ChatGPT? Well, in a nutshell, ChatGPT is a language model developed by OpenAI. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it is the third iteration of this model. It's designed to understand and generate human-like text based on the input it receives. It has found applications in chatbots, virtual assistants, content generation, and more. How does it work? Well, there are 7 different steps that we could go through with ChatGPT. And funny enough, I actually found this information by using ChatGPT. So this is really spoken from the horse's mouth. Number 1, pre-training. So first of all, this platform was it was given information from a massive data set consisting of internet, books, articles, other text sources, and it was supposed to try to capture different patterns, contexts, and relationships based on that data set. After that, a basic architecture was established, which is a type of neural network which excels at handling sequential data, such as language. So this is becoming somewhat of a linguistic or knowledge-based calculator. The model was then fine-tuned, and that's the thing about this course as well. Even though there are certain elements of ChatGPT that were actually used for this course, I, as a human, have gone and fine-tuned different elements of this. And we'll talk about why that's important as we go through this course, how that plays a part in the pros and cons of ChatGPT. The model is fine-tuned for specific tasks and domains, helping it to adapt well to particular tasks. Text is then broken down into tokens, which the model processes sequentially. GPT is designed to understand the context of the input it receives. It generates a response by predicting the next token. So it's a predictive model as well, based on the context it has learned during the pre-training and the fine-tuning. The generated response is a continuation of the input sequence. And finally, GPT dynamically generates responses based on the input it receives. Sounds pretty good so far, right? Don't worry, we'll get to the drawbacks as well. So let's start off with the pros of ChatGPT. These are only a few. Number 1, accessibility. It's accessible to pretty much anyone who has access to the internet, unless if it's blocked for one reason or another, which it has been blocked in different places. It's free. That's another pro of ChatGPT, that it is free, so it is completely cost-free. And for students and teachers like you, that's great. Next, adaptability. ChatGPT could be used in many different situations, right? It could also adapt to the different models that people are using to create different websites as well. So the ChatGPT architecture or infrastructure has been adapted to different websites, different applications, different platforms. Moving on, context. So it does have contextual knowledge, but this could also be a downside, as we'll talk about after. Ease of use is pretty straightforward how to use ChatGPT. You go in there just like any chat log. You send a message asking GPT to brainstorm something for you, summarize something for you, answer something for you, and it does it. Speed. And this is one of the best things about ChatGPT. It's super quick. So going to number 6, we could just skip ahead, information source. If you want to find something on Google, then you Google it, and then you have to go through a bunch of different articles to actually kind of synthesize the information. Well, what ChatGPT could do is scrape from the internet, from millions and millions, billions of documents, find that information in pretty much just a matter of seconds and throw it all together for you. So that's one of the ways that I actually use ChatGPT to do some preliminary research on a topic to find out what I'm working with and just get kind of a rundown of the overall subject or topic. However, the cons of ChatGPT, and this is where the human intelligence kind of is the piece of the puzzle which could complement the artificial intelligence instead of them being diametrically opposed to each other. So the cons of ChatGPT is number one, authenticity. So this is not created by an actual human being. It might synthesize information or, anecdotes from thousands, millions of human beings, which have been reflected in the articles on the internet. Yes, but this is still not authentically made by a person themselves, with their own experiences and their own knowledge. So there's definitely that component right there. There's a lack of verifiability. And that's one thing that you will run into as a student, is that if ChatGPT does come up with incorrect information, for example, if you're doing some research on the IELTS exam or like a standardized test, ChatGPT, and I could speak from personal experience, could find you incorrect information. I mean, 95% of it could be correct, but there could be incorrect information as well, which is put there. ChatGPT may also, because of how many resources are on the internet, if there's a sudden change or development, maybe a change in a policy or something like that, ChatGPT may not have picked that up yet, or they may not prioritize that in their sequential generation. So for that reason, you might want to actually go onto the internet, find empirical data, peer-reviewed scholarly sources to actually verify different data. And we'll talk about that throughout this course. There are different contextual errors, right? So this has happened with me before, where I might go onto ChatGPT and ask for a list of commonly used words or commonly used phrases or commonly used idioms. And maybe 7 or 8 of them are good, but 2 or 3 of them aren't very common, right? So there could be some contextual errors depending on the task you're asking it to complete. There are occasionally different inaccuracies, whether that be a lexical inaccuracy, like the incorrect word choice, or very, very rarely the incorrect construction, like actual grammatical or syntactic construction, but it does happen. There's a lack of experiential knowledge, right? And that piece is missing because there are always outliers in society. We are all individuals with our unique experiences. And unless if we have actually put our experience into ChatGPT, on the internet for ChatGPT to scrape, no matter how many patterns and how many sequences it has picked up, it's not going to be able to generate something which represents every single anecdote of every single person. So again, this might not be a problem depending on the question you have, depending on the task you have, depending on the domain you work in or the reason you're using ChatGPT. But for a lot of people, that means something. If you are discounting thousands, millions of pieces of information which have not been put into this database, then whatever ChatGPT generates for you is going to be at least a little bit skewed from reality. And finally, if ChatGPT is deriving its generation from potentially a biased or skewed sample, then it's going to actually generate something that is partially biased or skewed. And these are all kind of criticisms, not just of ChatGPT as if it is better than just trying to get your information from a human being. These are potential criticisms that we could have of any source of information on any given day. So in conclusion, there are pros and cons of ChatGPT. The pros and the cons are both things that could be benefits or drawbacks of getting your information from just about any source. The difference is that there are certain safeguards that we have on the verifiability, the authenticity of human intelligence, which are not necessarily applied to ChatGPT. So that's one reason why going through this course, we could get to understand it a little bit, get our feet wet, but also be aware of the pros and the cons of ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3, a guided walkthrough. Let's try it out. And the question that we're going to ask, the first task we're going to do to kick things off to practice using ChatGPT is this one right here. And this is what I start my college and university courses with. Why should people even bother learning how to write, learning how to use language, when ChatGPT could just do it for you? So let's see what ChatGPT has to say about that. Okay, everybody, so if we come on over here to ChatGPT, it's at chat.openai.com. All right, so here we are. You are going to have to log in with an email address in order to access ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3.5, it will ask you right here, how can I help you today? It will give you a few like kind of prompts or ideas, but usually you'll know what you want to find out or what you want to look for, right? It's a simple message log, just like you would have for pretty much any chat that you would have with a human being, right? So we're going to ask the exact question that we saw on the previous slide. Let's just copy and paste, and away we go. Why should people learn how to write when ChatGPT could do it for you? So here's one common thing that ChatGPT is going to, like format-wise, this is a common thing that ChatGPT does, okay? They will usually give you point form, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a list of different ideas, okay? This could be a good thing, absolutely. It could improve or enhance comprehensibility, right? But depending on the kind of form that you're looking for, it could also be, you know, not the kind of format that you're looking for. Anyway, let's start off right here. So I'm going to zoom in. While tools like ChatGPT can assist in generating text, there are several reasons why people should continue to learn how to write. Number one, critical thinking and creativity. So usually they will have the main point bolded, and then they will have a little explanation underneath. Number two, communication skills, so improving your communication skills. Number three, personal expression. Writing allows for personal expression and self-reflection. Learning and retention, like actually comprehending what you have learned through ChatGPT. And that's one of the reasons why, even though for a couple of the slides in this slideshow presentation, I have actually asked ChatGPT to generate ideas, I have then looked at those ideas and fine-tuned and kind of like revised them to, first of all, be in my own words. And I have ensured that I have included pieces of information that ChatGPT may not have included because of its own biases or a skewed data sample. Okay, moving on, job and academic success, problem-solving abilities, cultural and historical connection, autonomy and independence, adaptability, human touch, right? So these are just 10 reasons right here why learning how to write and not just relying on the robot, not just relying on the application could be very important, okay? Now, in response to this prompt, if I'm not happy, I could ask ChatGPT to actually give me more ideas. So I could write down 10 more, right? And then ChatGPT will give me more ideas, right? Global connection, persuasion and influence, documentation and record keeping. Now, as we're going through this, I'll give you, just from a personal anecdote, I've noticed that if you're looking at a topic that is not very widely researched, ChatGPT will start to like repeat themselves itself and to render itself redundant. So if it doesn't have a lot of different ideas, it might start to overlap with the previous ideas. It may also start to generate vague points or topics as well. So for example, problematic aspects of AI. Well, I mean, that probably kind of overlaps with ethical considerations, right? Like they're not necessarily completely distinct, right? So you could tell after a while it might start to grasp at straws and desperately try to find different pieces of information in order to fully satisfy the criteria you've like laid out for it, which in this situation is to give me 10 more ideas, right? You could always give it a little check mark or a thumbs up for a good response or a thumbs down for a bad response. So let's say for the first one, let's say good response. Okay, and you could explain why you like that response. You could also give it a bad response, explain why you did not like that response, right? So that's a possibility as well. So it's pretty simple. That's how you use ChatGPT right there. You just go on, you write something in the chat, you ask it to generate something for you, and voila, you will get at least a sample of something you want to work with. Now, in the next module, we're going to actually practice using it together. And after that, we're going to go through over 20 different activities you could do to improve your English language learning. Let's go. Hi students, welcome back. Lesson number 4. So in this lesson, now that we know what ChatGPT is more or less, we know about a few of the potential pros and a few of the potential cons, we could start tailoring and taking control of our English language learning. So this lesson is going to kind of focus on what the point of this is. Like, why are we even here talking about ChatGPT, which was thought to be the big bad boogie monster and definitely could be in certain situations? Why are we trying to bring two worlds together? Why are we trying to look at how ChatGPT could be a useful tool for language learning? Well, it could allow you to learn English the way you like it. Let's look at some examples. So the goal of this course is really to see how human intelligence and artificial intelligence could work together, and organically as we proceed through the next 16, 17 lectures, I would like for us to organically stumble upon and meaningfully look at some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks of ChatGPT, while also looking at some of the benefits and drawbacks of ourselves as human beings, our own kind of biases, our own processes of thinking, and maybe some of the lapses in judgment we make along the way, particularly with language learning. English language learning is one of the most sought after skills in the world, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a teacher. We want to try to find a balance of how we could best use our resources as human beings and the resources of the machines to work together to help our ability to use the English language. So these are a few kind of points for you to start with, and I want you to keep all 6 of these points in your back pocket, okay? I want you to think about these points, these different kind of perspectives, these different angles. In every single activity we do, every single module, every lecture you watch in this course, okay? Because this is how we could make this process more engaging, practical, learner-centered, and relevant to you. So first of all, hobbies. By using ChatGPT, you could tailor the different questions to focus on your specific hobbies, like what you like to do, whether that be crocheting or playing video games. So instead of asking ChatGPT to create a reading, just like a generic English B2 level reading, you could ask it to create an English B2 level reading on GTA, the different characters in GTA 5, for example. So hobbies, as we go through this course, as we do the activities, think about how you could frame the prompts for ChatGPT to focus on your hobbies, to make it more applicable to you. Moving on, your job. This could be your current job, the job you would like to do in the future, or maybe if you are a father or a mother or a daughter or a son or a cousin or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, maybe you would like to learn English not only how it relates to your occupation, but also you would like to know a little bit more about other people's occupations, like your loved ones, your friends. Maybe this will help you to kind of understand and grasp the main things that they go through in their average day at work. So for example, my fiance's sister, she is a nurse, right? So of course it's going to take me 4 years to get a bachelor degree in nursing, right? So instead, if I want to know get to know some information quicker about nursing, and this is not completely verifiable, it's not completely set in stone, but just to get the ball rolling, perhaps I could put a prompt into ChatGPT to help me learn about like nursing just for fun. That way we are killing two birds with one stone. You're not only learning English, which is the main thing we're doing here. We're not here to learn nursing or engineering. We're here to learn English, but you could do that through through the avenue of learning about your hobbies, of learning about your job or the job of a loved one. Same with studies. Maybe you're thinking about coming to Canada to study, or you're thinking about going to another country to study, or you just hate studying, but you're in a college or university program. Well, learning more about your field of study could be useful. And even if ChatGPT doesn't have the most reliable, accurate information, it would be an interesting exercise to see what a generative AI tool would create if you were to give it a prompt based on your field of study, particularly if it's a more emergent field of study, or as most fields of study are, it's developing all the time. So you could ask, like a question like, how will English language teaching change in 10 years? How will nursing change in the next 10 years? Different things like that. And you could kind of like see how the machine is putting together different predictions. And you could see how that is the same or how it's different from predictions that you and your colleagues would make, or if you're not studying anymore, but you were 10 years ago, what they would have said 10 years ago. So again, when we're doing these different activities, think about tailoring the prompts so that it focuses on your hobbies, your job, your field of study, or your environment. Where do you live? Which country do you live in? Do you live in a rural environment or an urban environment? Are you in a very multicultural environment, or is it very homogenous, right? Are you living in an apartment or a house? When you're asking ChatGPT to generate different tokens for you, think about customizing that, tailoring that so that it's more applicable to your environment, right? So for example, instead of asking like, what are some real world tasks that a C1 level English learner could do? Ask them something like, what are some real world tasks that a C1 level English learner living in Brazil could do, living in Rio de Janeiro could do? Like, try to go a little bit more specific. And yes, you might stumble upon some of the inaccuracies, some of the biases, some of the problems with ChatGPT. But you know what? That's one of the reasons why we're here, right? That's exciting. You could learn more about like the kind of limitations of ChatGPT, and you could just like understand, like learn to play with it a little bit. You could recognize the patterns that ChatGPT has recognized about its data sample. Moving on, number 5, your experiences. What I mean by this is like just your background, the things that you have done, the places you have traveled to, the people you have met. We all have our unique experiences. The difference between you and I and ChatGPT is that we are not just we don't just synthesize and summarize a whole massive sample of information from the whole internet. I am synthesizing the information that I have experienced. I'm like the ideas I have, the opinions that I hold are based a lot on the research I've done and somewhat the experiences of other people, but a lot of them from my firsthand experiences as well. So let's celebrate that. What is your background? Where are your parents from? What's their story? What is your story? If you find that, the different challenges you've had in life, particularly language learning challenges, so maybe you find it difficult to take feedback. Maybe you find it difficult to understand English speakers. You find it difficult to prepare for tests because you get very anxious and worried. Maybe you find it very useful to learn languages online or learn languages in a classroom. While we're going through these activities, try to incorporate those experiences, incorporate your story into the activity so that it's more like tailored to you. I know what you're thinking. Some of you might be thinking, I don't want the robot to know everything about me. This is one of the reasons why I'm apprehensive. So I completely get that. You don't have to be too specific. I'm just saying more generally, if you have gotten into a debate with somebody over which is a better drink for you, tea or coffee, maybe you could ask ChatGPT, what are the pros and cons of tea or coffee? So that way you could learn content while also learning the language. Let's kill two birds with one stone. Let's do this efficiently. Let's do it meaningfully. And I know that's a bad example. Some of you don't find that very interesting, tea versus coffee. I mean, if your favorite footballer is Cristiano Ronaldo, and you have great experiences wearing your Ronaldo jersey, you could ask things like, why do people like Cristiano Ronaldo? And see what ChatGPT has for you, right? From scraping the internet, what would it kind of compile and accumulate and put together? And how would that be different than if you were to ask one of your friends on the football pitch? Finally, interest. What are you interested in learning more about? And that's a big thing, a big reason why we're here. How could this course and using this kind of machine not make you dependable and make you weak and make you fragile in terms of academia and language use? How could it empower you? How could you learn new things that you are interested in? And this is one of the big kind of drawbacks of most English language resources. This is one of the ways that ChatGPT could be so adaptable, versatile, and flexible. Is the fact that if you were to look up common words or something like that on Google, you have to sift through hundreds, well, at least dozens of different articles, and a lot of the articles will be filled with ads. A lot of them will have a mishmash of different words that are useful to you. Let's say you're a software developer, they are useful to you, but then they'll have a lot of words related to things like makeup or animals or sports, things that might not be interesting to you, right? So the nice thing about ChatGPT is that you could use it to focus on things you want to learn about. So maybe you want to learn about makeup. Maybe you want to learn more about animals. You just haven't gone around to it. ChatGPT could generate information on those things faster than Google, and it could create things instead of just replicating the exact words and sentences it has already seen to keep things interesting. Now, there are always drawbacks, so we'll talk about that too, but in a nutshell, those are some things that we could do. While we're going through, think about your hobbies, job, study, environment, experiences, interests, and think about how this could be a meaningful experience for you. So, try this activity out. Let's start this course by thinking about what a C1 level learner is. It's expected that you are either a C1 level learner or a C2 level learner. You are an advanced language learner, according to the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. So what are your goals? Ask ChatGPT to define a C1 level learner, first of all. Do a little self-assessment. Ask yourself, like, do I match this criteria? And by the way, be very critical of this. If you don't like, the criteria might not necessarily be correct. That's one of the things with ChatGPT. It's not always completely verifiable. So after that, ask ChatGPT to compare and contrast a C1 level learner from a B2 level learner. In other words, an upper intermediate level learner. Then ask it to compare and contrast a C1 to a C2 level learner. Let's see how well you comprehend the differences between these. Let's see how well ChatGPT comprehends the differences between these. Remember, as we're going through this, you're learning things about like the language, you're learning English, you're improving English, but we need to ensure that you are comprehending the information that you're getting from ChatGPT. The key word is comprehension here, so that you are improving your vocabulary or your linguistic knowledge. But at the same time, we want to enhance our proficiency with ChatGPT, our digital literacy. So you should also be very critical of what ChatGPT kind of spits out for you. Moving on, ask ChatGPT how a B2 level learner could reach the C1 level. Any suggestions? Or if you're a C1 level learner, how could you reach the C2 level? Finally, ask ChatGPT to create a study plan, and I'd love to know what they create for you. After that, you're going to fine-tune this study plan, and you're going to incorporate some advice that you have found on the internet, some advice from your friends, from your parents, personal anecdotes, your own experiences, and finally, just understanding who you are as an individual. This is the bridge from artificial intelligence to human intelligence. Being able to take, the structure that ChatGPT and AI tools give us, but kind of like adjusting it, fine-tuning it, and scraping some of the rust off to ensure that it is completely tailored and applicable for this task. Hello, students. Welcome to lesson number 5. Before we actually start to develop and build skills, we need to establish a tailored study plan for learning advanced level English. That's what we're going to do today. Let's begin. So just to remind you all, we are trying to find the perfect balance, or as perfect a balance as there could be, between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. For that to happen, we will need your help. The machine, the ChatGPT, will need your help, and you will need ChatGPT's help to strike the perfect balance between the two, and to hopefully find a study plan which could be useful to you, suitable for you, and it could be tailored to your needs and your wants. This is the kind of process we're going through with ChatGPT. You're going to start with a prompt. The prompt is the question or the statement or the demand, the command that you put into the chat on ChatGPT. After that, it's going to generate something. It's going to generate some sort of prompt. And it's going to generate a response. And based on that response, you're going to think, A, this response is not good enough, or B, my question, my prompt was not good enough. So you're going to have to either change the original question, the original prompt, or you're going to have to change the response to your prompt. Sometimes you will have to only do one, sometimes you'll have to do both. And then you're going to have to fine tune this. See, this is where you come in, right? This is where we need the human intelligence to point out, to find the gaps in the performance of this AI tool. So you're going to fine tune the question or fine tune the response. And then depending on whether you're happy with the response or not, the fine-tuned response, if you're not, you might want to generate another prompt based on a slightly different question. Or if you're happy, then you're not going to have to ask for ChatGPT to generate something else. You'll be able to take this and run with it. So let's practice doing that today. This is what we're going through: prompt, generate, fine tune. The prompt, that will be asking ChatGPT to do something for you. Generate and look over the response. Fine tune, edit the prompt or the response ChatGPT has given you if necessary. By the way, I would like to take a moment to pause here and just to say, I understand that some of you might not be comfortable with using ChatGPT. Again, I am your guinea pig. I am here using it for you so you could at least just see how it works. And for some of you, you might be teachers actually, or you might be students who don't like ChatGPT, you don't like AI tools, you might be very critical of them, and that's completely fine. And you might just want to get to know more about how it works. So you could just sit back, relax, and kind of observe how it works in this kind of format. Here's what we're going to do today, and this will be an assignment. I would love to get your feedback on this and to see what you have come up with in pairing human intelligence with artificial intelligence. Establish a study plan, folks. I would like for you to request that ChatGPT generate a study plan for you. But I would like for you to mention the information that we had brainstormed earlier in this course. So first of all, mention that you are a B2 or a C1 level learner. Okay, so I am a B2 or C1 level learner. I am trying to reach C1 or C2 level. Even if you're a C2 level learner, you could say I'm a C2 level learner. I'm trying to reach full proficiency or native proficiency, if you would like to use that word. Try to include a few specific wants, needs, expectations, objectives. You don't have to brainstorm a lot of them though. You don't have to brainstorm any of them, but the next few points are very important. You should establish a time frame. What is your goal? When would you like to hit the C1 level or the C2 level? What are your hobbies? Remember, we went over this earlier. In order for ChatGPT to tailor the learning to your desires, your interests, we need to know your hobbies. Or what are the hobbies that you're interested in trying out? Like, let's try to dive into your personal life a little bit. And again, if you don't want to share this in the assignment component of this course, that's totally fine. You could even just create a generic, like, study plan with ChatGPT for like a random person. In fact, we're going to be doing that in a moment. So include your hobbies or just somebody's hobbies. Mention your work domain or somebody's work domain. It could be just a generic person. It could be maybe you're trying to create a study plan for a friend, or maybe you're a teacher and you would like to create a study plan for a student. This is something you could do as well. Mention your work domain or the work domain of the student, the field of study of the student, or what the student did study or what the student plans to study, or if there's no field of study, then just skip that. Mention the environment. And the point of the environment is to kind of understand, like, where are you? Which resources do you have access to? Because if you don't mention this, ChatGPT might assume that you have certain resources that you don't. Some aspects of an environment is, do you live in a very noisy household? If so, it might be hard to have conversational practice with fellow proficient speakers. Do you have access to a library? Do you have access to Google, or is it blocked in your country? Or like certain websites, are they blocked in your country? Like anything you could include right here for ChatGPT to get a better understanding of what your environment is. This could even be related to resources as well, actually. Or you could even put that as a separate criteria. Do you have access to a microphone, to a headset, things like that? That will help ChatGPT to better like understand like what kind of activities it could prescribe for you. Your experiences, what's your background? What which things have you done in the past that you've enjoyed? Which things have you not enjoyed? What has your language learning experience been like? Have you taken a very traditional route with language learning, very textbook heavy route, or have you focused on like more informal language learning? Are you new to self-directed language learning? And finally, mention your interests. So we're going to do this. After that, we're going to analyze the response. We're going to think about additional elements which could or should be added to the prompt to better tailor this to suit your wants, needs, expectations, and objectives. Revise your question, resubmit the prompt, and then you're going to fine-tune the response so that is perfectly tailored to you. All right, let's try this out. Wonderful. Okay, everybody, welcome. We are here on ChatGPT. So what we're going to do right here, I'm going to start off by just asking ChatGPT to brainstorm a few different students with different kind of context, interests, background. So I'll have to copy and paste some of this information. Okay. So brainstorm maybe 5 different advanced language English students. Bothers me that I didn't capitalize the E. Each with varying wants, needs, desires, expectations as a learner, different time frames. Yeah, let's just see what happens, right? And we might have to try this again. Honestly, I haven't tried this yet. Different work domain, different hobbies, different field of study. If you're bored of just watching me type, then you could just skip ahead. And interest. I honestly, this might be overloading ChatGPT with information. We'll see. All right. Brainstorm 5 different students. Okay, good. We have Emma, the time-pressed professional. Okay. Carlos, Aisha, Raj, good. Sophie. All right. Fantastic. All right, folks. So let's have a look right here. Let's see how well they did at even brainstorming these generic students. Remember, I'm not asking you to do this. I'm asking you to brainstorm a study plan based on your wants, needs, expectations, all the criteria before. What I'm doing here is just trying to get a sample of a few example people, made up people, and trying to find a good study plan for them. Okay, so let's imagine I am a teacher, which I am a teacher, and I teach Emma, I teach Carlos, I teach Aisha, Raj, and Sophie. Okay, now I want to try to establish a study plan for each of them so that I could be a good teacher and I could help them out. So let's start off with Emma. Wants and needs, she's a busy professional working in the finance sector. Okay, that's a good start. Wants to improve her communication skills in international meetings, negotiations. She needs, her needs include concise and targeted language training that fits into her tight schedule. Expectations and objectives, expects a flexible learning approach that adapts to her self-paced work environment. This is actually really good. This is a really good start. I'm going to just copy and paste this. So we're going to start with Emma to start off, okay? So this is good, but I would like to get like more of a kind of clear like study plan, like step-by-step study plan for her. So we have the expectations and objectives. Okay, so based on the following information, create. See, one thing I noticed they didn't have here is they don't have a time frame in terms of when they would like to reach C2 level. So I think ChatGPT misunderstood me and thought the time frame was more about like how much time they have to practice their English. So I'm going to add some of this information, okay? Wants and needs. I'm going to put, she wants to proceed from C1 level to C2 level English in 6 months. And I mean, these kind of markers of proficiency and stuff like that, they're very like vague and partially subjective. Being able to do this in 6 months, this is a huge feat to reach C2 level, but let's just try it. Let's see what happens right here. So based on the following information, create a weekly study plan. Okay, and now they know that we're trying to do this in 6 months. Let's see what happens. Emma's weekly study plan. So weeks 1 to 2, foundations and assessment. Okay, morning, introduction to C2 level materials, complete a self-assessment. Tuesday, focus on weaknesses identified, short listening and reading comprehension exercises. Okay. Review and reinforce grammar rules. Okay. Weeks 3 to 10, business-related speaking exercises. Okay, this is all good. I would say we need more specific exercises. We need to know specifically, like, things like speaking and writing, clarity and articulations. That's great, but let's get a little bit more specific. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste this. So now we're going to fine tune this and regenerate this, and I'm going to say create a more specific, or maybe include more specific exercises and targets for the following study plan. Let's see what happens here. Okay, morning, target, familiarize, advanced vocabulary. See, that's good, but what is advanced vocabulary? Which area of advanced vocabulary? Listen to a podcast or a business-related audio material. Okay, we are getting more specific there. Very nice. Create flashcards for challenging vocabulary. Nice. Review the week's material for retention, grammar rules. So maybe we would ask like which grammar rules? Final reflection and visualization. Okay, that looks good right there. So we have weeks 1 and 2, and then we have weeks 3 to 10. You could see there are certain patterns that ChatGPT is following. So just like in the first prompt, they seem to be obsessing over having weeks 1 and 2 be foundational, and then weeks 3 to 10 being just like the same intensive skill development. I mean, I would say we should be a little bit open to change and dynamic. I don't know if there's anything in here where they actually mention kind of like review. Oh yeah, then weeks 11 to 12, exam preparation and review. Good stuff. So it is assuming that we are trying to prepare for an exam as well. Good stuff. Okay. I'm just going to add one more thing right here. So we're going to copy and paste this. We're going to copy and paste all of this from ChatGPT. And we're going to ask, make this a self-directed study plan. Because I don't know if ChatGPT like knows that. So let's see what happens now. See, a lot of this is similar, covering grammar, vocabulary, listening. Industry-specific terminology, that's good. We're getting a little bit more specific there. Because when they ask you to just do grammar worksheets, it's like, which grammar should I be working on as a C2 level learner? Improve clarity and articulation. How could we do that? Addressing common business situations. See, this is one of the areas where it could be useful to have a teacher or a guide to fine-tune this information. Yeah. Personally, I don't give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So that's your choice if you want to do that. Um, okay, cool. So this is good. This is a good example right here. I'm going to give all of you one more example with one of the other students, like made up students, and we're going to see what that comes out to. And then I'd like for all of you to do this. And as we go through, we're going to be fine tuning and like altering our own study plans to be more specific. So it might be too much information to actually ask ChatGPT to be more specific about every single element. And I don't even know how we could like adjust these prompts to so that it understands that. So it might be better to do that step by step as we go through the course. All right. So let's come to the top. Sorry, the front. Carlos, the tech enthusiast. Let's try this right here. So I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to put, again, based on the following information, create a weekly study plan. And I'm going to go to my third prompt, which said, include specific exercises and targets. Include specific, exercises and targets. See what I'm doing here? Now I know from experience with ChatGPT what they will kind of spit out for me if I don't give them these specific parameters. So I'm trying to make the parameters a little bit more specific. So let's try it out and make this a self-directed study plan. Okay, so I'm going to put all of that information there. So hopefully I could automatize this process. I can make this process a little bit quicker, all right? So let's try this out with Carlos. Just to remind everybody, Carlos is a tech enthusiast. Let me zoom in here. Carlos is a computer science student. This will probably be relevant to a lot of you, who's passionate about tech. He wants to develop his English proficiency to engage with the global tech community, read technical documents, and participate in online forums. He expects a curriculum that integrates technology-related vocab and concepts. So whereas Emma was focused more on business, Carlos is focused more on tech. His objective is to comfortably communicate in technical discussions within the next 6 months. Okay, awesome. That's great. So they picked up the time frame there. All right, sweet. So again, let me just see. You could see that weeks number 1 to 2 are foundations and assessment. 3 to 10, I'm going to bet you a nickel that is going to focus on the intensive skill development. And then 11 and 12 is going to be exam prep, right? So morning, learn basic technology related terms. So that's really good. Create flashcards for terms like algorithm, programming languages, debugging. I like this a lot because now we're getting a little bit more specific. This could tell us a few things. This could tell us maybe ChatGPT has amassed more information. Maybe it's able to access more information, which is geared towards like software developer or computer science geared students, right? Students of English. That way they're already able to know what students in Carlos's position have looked for. Afternoon, identify current language proficiency areas for improvement, complete a self-assessment, very good. So again, this is really good, but we need to know what will be on the self-assessment quiz. This is something we could ask ChatGPT to do for us. Basic grammar rules, okay, which rules? That's the question, grammar exercises. So I mean, we're developing skills with using ChatGPT here, folks. Like one of the problems, right, like in this situation is that I'm not able, or I could, but it would probably take a lot of time for me to ask and create such a specific prompt that ChatGPT would be able to give, like lay it all out for me. Every single grammar kind of exercise. Like, should we be working on the future perfect or the present perfect continuous, for example? So to get all those specific things, you know, you need to be more specific with your question. So it's up for debate whether that's a problem with ChatGPT or a limitation of people like me, who are too lazy. So expand technical vocab, explore tech-related websites, create a list of new terms encountered. So that's good because that's getting you to actually find new terms. Like it's tailored to you. Enhance listening skills, good stuff. Awesome. Now, the one thing I would say about this right here is that the original prompt, it focused a lot on Carlos's um, job and field of study, but it didn't really focus a lot on their interests or their hobbies or their environment or their background. So these are some things that we might want to change, you know? Yeah, master common tech jargon. But at the end of the day, for most students, the main priority is to actually like use English for work or for academia. Technical speaking, okay, for tech discussions, tech related topics, good. Improve written communication skills for tech content, that's good. Write a blog post or technical. See, this is a good self directed language learning kind of activity right here. Peer review session, awesome stuff. All right, so this gives you an idea. If I'm going through this too quick, folks, don't worry. I'm going to be copying and pasting this on the course, so you'll be able to read through this on your own time, right? And what I'd like for you to do is to try to create your own study plan with ChatGPT, all right? Try to identify some of the issues with the first prompt and then fine tune it to make it a little bit better. Before you even create your own study plan, I'm going to ask all of you to take either Carlos's learning plan or Emma's learning plan and to incorporate more interests and hobbies into the prompt so that we could incorporate some more of that into the study plan so that we're not just focusing on their work, but we're also focusing on, you know, if Carlos likes Pokemon or if Emma likes Stranger Things or something like that. We could have a little bit of that involved as well with their learning. The whole goal here is tailored learning. So after this lecture, you could proceed to the next assignment where you'll be working on creating a study plan. I'll see you soon.